Generally speaking, group work can be modeled with a five-stage process known as Tuckman's five stages of group development. These stages run from when you first get together to when the project is complete. By having knowledge of these five stages, you can accurately assess the current state of progression for your group and decide on the best course of action to further the project along. Now, once you've been assigned teams and you're meeting your partners for the first time, you've arrived at the first stage, figuring out how many people speak English. In the literature, this stage is called forming, and after not communicating with each other for a few days, someone is going to create a Facebook group chat, and this person is tentatively the leader until further notice. The second stage is called storming, where people get to know each other, everyone's personalities clash, and individuals try to figure out what their role in the group is. It's important to figure this out quickly and move on, so here's a list of difficult archetypes that you should be aware of. An individual who dominates the rest of the group and expects you to perform exactly in accordance to what they want. While this can be pretty hot, it's not in this context. An individual who passively agrees with other group members in order to avoid conflict until the idea falls through and they finally express their withheld viewpoint in order to sidestep responsibility. And a person who's in the group but you've never actually seen them. The third stage of group development is called norming. Norming is essentially when all members decide on what their role in the group is and the project gets underway. Remember that just because you've assigned roles, it doesn't mean there aren't going to be issues to be resolved. As a personal example, in university I once worked with a guy named Peter who always tried to tell our group what to do even though he didn't really ever show up or do any work himself. So about halfway through our time as team members, I decided to go meet with him to discuss our assignment. So I go to his residence, buzz his room, he picks up, I say, "Hey, it's James," and he says, "Oh, I'll let you up." Which was nice because it was the complete opposite of usual. The fourth stage of group development is called performing, where the group kicks everything into high gear and is functioning at a very high level. Remember to keep in mind that this is a theoretical model. When it comes to actual group performance, it's not always a sum of all parts situation, but often a framework that allows individuals to play to their strengths while having their weak links buffered by other members. On one occasion, I was in a Physics 100 lab, and a person in our group was really excited to do all their measurements. All we had to measure to start off with was the length and height of a desk, so he runs over and measures the length, and then he seemed really stuck. After watching him struggle for a few seconds, I went over and took the ruler, rotated it 90 degrees, and then he happily measured the height of the desk. This is a great example of group synergy because he wasn't great at problem solving but was bubbly and enthusiastic, while I was slightly better at problem solving but was filled with contempt and disappointment for all human life. Now, so far we have forming, storming, norming, performing, and now adjourning, which, much like the rhyme, represents the disappointing conclusion to your project. In this stage, you will unfortunately receive feedback for the work you've done. This feedback will include advice and criticism on how each member could have improved their section of the project, regardless of the fact the entire thing was written by a single person the night before. For professors and supervisors reviewing a project, this person can be identified as the second to last name on the title page, which they place there modestly after concluding that putting it last would be a bit too passive-aggressive. While some experts advocate celebrating the success of your project with your teammates, this is often much more difficult in practice as there's rarely any success to celebrate. Nevertheless, once all is said and done and your group has parted ways, you might find yourself reflecting on the time you spent together, and the more you think about it, the more you start to realize that all in all it was a pretty good experience and you kind of miss everyone a little bit, but not enough to hang out with them.